These Biloxi blues, it happens every night.
Every old night.
I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
No, I haven't.
Summer heat never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time.
Sing.
This highway does not know my name, and I don't care. No, I don't care. Headed my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare.
Right to the hook right here.
Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low budget live, the not so live variety from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill here in beautiful Southern Middle Tennessee. And this is the podcast for Monday, February the 3rd. You bunch of low lifers. And if I sound like I'm struggling a little bit today, it's because, spent some time up there at that Middle Tennessee Boating and Fishing Expo in Lebanon, Tennessee over the weekend. And, somebody gave me a little something, I think, maybe. I don't know. Now, it's been going around. The sickness has been in this house since about, really, right after Christmas, which is crazy to think about. But there's 7 of us. So it's going around. And I was just telling somebody this week that I have avoided it, but I think we're there. I think it has caught up with me a little bit. And I ain't got time for it. Ain't nobody got time for that. I ain't got time for it. Got an ABT this week on beautiful Smith Lake to kick off the ABT North. And I got to have my radio voice ready to call out all them fish weights down there. So do that live coverage on Saturday. If you're in the area, come see us. Come see us. We'll be at the Dam on Smith Lake. Me, myself, Jason Duran, and Stupid Dumb Darian, and Miss K, and crew. We will all be there. All right. Great time at the Middle Tennessee Boating and Fishing Expo. Got to see some of y'all low lifers out there. It's always great. I was up there doing a little business and ran into so many of y'all. Appreciate the kind words always. Got some questions while I was there about the Bassmaster Classic Throwdown, the LBL Live. We are closing in, hopefully, on the place. We had one booked. Trying to go bigger, better, badder. Big old place. I'll just leave it at that. Big old place. And we had it nailed down, and we got bumped for a concert. And it's a concert venue, so that happens. But the way kind of way that entertainment industry works, there are some booking agents and some, ticketing agents and different things, and they actually will place holds on venues. And we had it, and they would not relinquish their hold for the low lifers to take over that night, and we got bumped for a concert. So it is what it is. We are getting very, very close, though. Had some conversations yesterday. I think we've about got it nailed down, and it's a pretty freaking awesome venue that I'm ecstatic about if we end up getting to make it happen at the one we're close to. So say all that today. I'm giving you too much information, like always, but we're very close, and I will be throwing that at you all the time when it happens, because we want to have a shin freaking dig in Fort Worth, Texas this year. Same band as last year. We're going to do a live podcast. It's going to be a large time, so I will keep you posted. So after the Middle Tennessee, I have to share this with you because I learn life lessons all the time. After the Middle Tennessee Boating and Fishing Expo, where my dude Matt McKee Outdoors took some of my money, buying some of them Japanese goodies that he's always got. Y'all go check out McKee Outdoors. He's loaded to the gills. East Tennessee boy. He's got it going on. But hung out with him, bought some things. Matt's good people. But we left there. Me and a friend of mine got out of there finally about 7 o'clock that night, rolling back south to my hometown, get right, 5 minutes from my house, call it. And Sobriety checkpoint. listen, your boy's good to go. I ain't had a drink in a minute. And stone cold sober. And those are always kind of intense situations, I feel like. And I do laugh because they flash the light in your eyes and they're like, you've been drinking. And I always wonder, because I've been a drunk idiot. Do drunk idiots say, yeah, I have, and just go to jail? Like, I don't know. Like, you been drinking tonight? No, I haven't. I mean, how's that go? I don't know. But anyways, like, no, sir, I haven't. But in my cup holder, I had been enjoying a beverage. And I'll just tell you, I don't drink soft drinks anymore. I hadn't done that in a long time. I drink y'all unsweet tea primarily. I ain't been on energy drinks in a minute, like trying to, keep this old ticker in check. And I drink a lot of carbonated water. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I love it. Topo Chico out of Mexico. Just if we're being honest, it's a treat with a lime. Oh yeah, that's my deal. I like that. Probably because that's what I used to mix with my Tito's all the time, but I do like that. But they come in a damn glass bottle, Papa Top, long neck bottle. So I had just finished killing one of those coming down the highway, a couple hour drive, and old Buddy Bear is getting ready to leave, the state trooper, and he whips that light around and he says, "What is that?" And he did not like my smart ass response, which was, picked up the bottle and said, "Water." So, word to the wise, life lesson: if you ever roll up on a sobriety checkpoint, do not have a long neck bottle sticking out of your cup holder after you tell the fella that you ain't been drinking. So learned that lesson, and he was not happy with me. And then I was like, Eddie, soldier. And then we all went about our life, and I came home to enjoy another nice Topo Chico. All right. That's how lame I am in life right now. I have given up so many good things, trying to get healthier. The triple threats had me on a diet, and I find enjoyment in carbonated water. So there you go. That's where the old low lifers at these days, guys. No whiskey, no vodka, no beer. Carbonated water is how I find peace these days. And some other things I do indulge a little bit from time to time. But just no liquid curds these days. All right. I want to thank some people real quick, and then I want to touch on something that's going on right now in the sport of fishing, and then we're going to have a conversation with somebody that's actually never been on the show that I remember, and I've had his wife on the show before, but looking forward to this one today. This episode is brought to you by Fish Tips, fishtips.com. The folks at Fish Tips want to help you catch more fish all across the country. They are loaded with guides and stone cold fish catchers from different regions to help you. Maybe you don't want to hire a guide. Maybe you just want a general, hey, how could I catch them on Okeechobee right now? I'm going to pull my boat down there, take my kids for spring break, yada, yada, yada. Fish Tips has that kind of information. You get on there, you buy the tip, you get the tip, you go out, and hopefully it helps you piece the puzzle together quickly. Maybe you only got a day somewhere. But it's professional anglers and professional guides. Fishtips.com. You can use code LBL10 to save money on your first tip and let them know we sent you and that you're a low lifer. Pro Guide batteries, the best batteries in the game, in my opinion, from lead acid to AGMs, all the way to their amazing lithium line. They've got it going on. Now they've got a new line of chargers. LBL10 saves you on some of the best batteries in the game. LBL10 at ProGuideBatteries.com. The folks from Pro Guide, it's like I say about a lot of my partners, and this is why they are partners of mine in the show and in life. Fantastic human beings that make a product line that I promise you zero issues. And if you ever happen to have an issue, they're going to take care of you. It's not a fly-by-night battery company. There are lots of those that have popped up over the years that stick a sticker on a lithium battery case from China. And they're just not those guys. Been in the battery business 30, 40 years. It's crazy. ProGuideBatteries.com. Bait-works.com, Bait-WRX, the official online home of the LOB jig. And man, all you jig head minnow needs, all you cranking needs, it's warming up around here. So I got to slip off for a couple hours this week, and I did a little scoping and I did a little LOB jigging. Cold crawl right there. Cold crawl. My brown and orange that we did in the finer than frog hair skirt material. When the water's colder than like 55, this dude right here, I put a Toad Thumper Bad Crawl on it a lot. I like a Net Bait Pocket Slim. I like a Zoom Super Chunk Junior. anything that just doesn't have a ton of action, basically, right now when it's cold. But that color right there gets a bite. The biggest fish I caught on a trip I made this week, I had smashed them on forward facing around some bait balls, different things. Went to flipping my jig, caught several, but caught the biggest fish of the trip on a jig, as always. So Duncan-10, DUNKN-10 saves you money there. And last but not least, let's hang the frickin' banner. Express Boats. Express Boats, that X21 Pro. I got it on the way, but the X21 Pro LE that is in my shop, one of my favorite vessels that I've ever had the pleasure of owning. 250 horses of Yamaha Fury on the back of that thing. Fastest hole shot in the game. More tackle storage than you can shake a stick at. Got the sea deck bow to stern. Fantastic products made by fantastic people. Check them out, expressboats.com. There are a ton of boat shows right now. Get out. Go crawl around in one. Whether it's the X21, the X19, the H20, the H17, the H18. Maybe it's a duck boat. Go check them out, Express Boats. You will not be disappointed. Building excitement since 1966. Oh, and Old Boy. What's up, Old Boy? Y'all can use Old Boy Luke is the code. Old Boy, OLEBOYLUKE at checkout. Old Boy Luke. Lifestyle brand, man. What's up, Old Boy? Hats, shirts. I'm getting a lot of, I love the stuff, and I've been wearing a lot, and I do, a lot of pro fishermen and people say that. I get a lot of questions. I do get a lot of questions about where to get that stuff. Oldboyoutfitters.com. All right. Thank y'all. It's crazy to me that I have that many partners with this show in life. And I know a lot of y'all say, well, I just don't want to listen to your ad reads. And that's fine, but it makes all this happen. And it's amazing to me that I have people that believe in what I do and what we do collectively as low-lifers together to partner with us. So take care of the people that take care of us. And that goes for anybody in the fishing industry. That's awesome to me. All right. Bass Pro Tour going on right now as I'm recording this. A little bit early there, a little bit early there from the, I'm recording on Sunday. So I was going to pull it up real quick. So it's been interesting. I have applauded, they're in period 2 right now. And old Jacob Wall, Gunnersville transplant, is on top right now, thanks to his turbo round. I have applauded them on the hybridized deal. And only one period of forward-facing sonar. I've watched a little bit. I've not got to see a ton this week, but I've read posts. I've checked in when I could, and it has been remarkable to see the difference in the number of fish catches when a majority of them are using it versus when they're not. And incredible. It has been incredible. What has also been incredible to me is the very fact that some of these guys are just so freaking unbelievable with it. Drew Gill, Jacob Wall being one of those, Jacob Wheeler, who's great at everything, Dustin Connell, great at everything, Alton Jones Jr., great at everything, but Spencer Sheffield, great fisherman. He was way behind on the knockout round or whatever it is, and made this crazy jump and ends up just shy of it, but didn't use his forward facing until the last period, kind of strategy playing in there. It has been cool to watch, but it's astounding when you separate it, what you see. And I've seen, there's a lot of, the bitching didn't stop. Let's just say that. The bitching didn't stop. Facebook comments, same 10 guys bitch over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It's exhausting. You see the same names all the time, every post about forward facing. But it has been kind of astonishing. The other thing that was astonishing to me from the clips I saw and what little live that I did actually get to watch this week was the fact that they're just so on top of each other. It's crazy. There was one area that lake, both shallow and deep. You had guys fishing grass like Takahiro, smacked him on a chatterbait. Nick LeBroom was kind of doing both things. Nick made it all the way to the championship round. It looks like today's not having a great day in the championship round, but the scopers got up fast and furious early and never took their foot off the gas at all. But I know it's just, you look over their shoulder and there's just like 20 other boats. I think it was a post from Skeet Reese maybe or something. It was like day one. He's like, well, it looked like half the field was in this one gigantic area, all getting ready to scope. And it's amazing to me that is what the sport is now. When there's a deal going on, used to there'd be fist fights over areas, and there still can be from time to time. But it is like astonishing to me how small these lakes do fish. And Conroe's not the biggest lake in the world anyways. But it's crazy to me that 90% of the field ends up in just the juice. It's astonishing. Whether that is shallow, like the Takahiro area. I think somebody said him and LeBroom were like basically within a cast of each other, just smashing on them on this flat, which was really cool. I'm sure I didn't get to watch that much of it, but really cool. And that shallow deal just kind of played out. It will be interesting to me. They've got right now, as I'm recording, like an hour and a half left in period 2, but it basically is all guys that dominate with forward facing sonar. Drew Gill, Little Alton, Zach Burge has gotten to be incredible with it. I'm not sure if that's what he's doing. He had an abysmal day one, made it all the way to the top 10 round. Jake Lawrence is a rookie, but he's so freaking good. Justin Cooper, just been stepping on him all week. Colby Miller, been fantastic. He's a rookie as well, I believe. Justin Lucas, who's really upped his game. Drew Gill is in the top 10 right now. So it has kind of been crazy to see that, even though, and I saw Drew Gill made a post that said 33.3% of the time it works every time. So for a third of his day, he can use it and they're still dominate. Like, that is astonishing. That is astonishing. Again, I want to say this to you. If you are one of these mom's basement on that keyboard, son, and you think it's so easy. I saw a guy say, you could teach a monkey to do this. Buddy, I promise you, you do not want that smoke. You do not want that smoke from them boys. You don't. There is a very big difference in them and you. Whether that's going down the bank, skipping a chatterbait under docks, and you think they're just scopers, there's a big difference in them and you. There just is. And their ability, like, look at the fish catch numbers from the periods when they can use it. And they're catching 30 bass in 3 hours. Dude, there's a lot of y'all commenting that ain't ever caught 30 bass in your life. I mean, I'm serious. And like to try to keep pace with these guys in this every fish counts format is astonishing, because they are stacking it up. And I can't imagine trying to strategize and not getting shook. Only, I got 2.5 hours to do what I like to do. Say that was me throwing a buzzbait. I love throwing a buzzbait. Well, you can only do it for 3 hours today. And you're like, you're fishing so fast. And I know forward facing is a little different because you're actually seeing the bass and all that. But it's been wild. I can't wait for the rest of the season, honestly, as it kind of progresses into the spawn time frame. Right now is that forward facing time. We know it dominates more times than not throughout the year. I get all that. But I do think I think they go to Florida next, how this will all play out. And I loved seeing guys go, hey, everybody's starting with forward facing. I'm going to do it the second period, or I'm going to do it the third period, when all the other guys have to go do other things. It was cool to watch, man. Kudos. And again, the pissing and moaning is not going to stop. We know that. We're well aware of that. Social media is just toxic, period. End of story, for the most part. And I know with NPFL, when we roll out a product this year, Tournament Trail, with no forward facing, then we'll have a bunch of negative comments, because they'll be like, well, it's like watching paint dry. Nobody's catching nothing. Where's the scoping? Let's go. Or, look, they can't catch them without live scopes. It's going to be, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, I think. And then Bassmaster, they're just going to get hammered all the time, because it's just full throttle still. So all the pissing and moaning will really, really fix in on them. Might not during the Florida run that they got coming up for the elite kickoff, but from there on, there's probably going to be a lot of negative comments, which also drives interaction on post. So they don't mind it. Trust me. All right. But I do think the hybridized deal is very cool. Very, very cool. All right, here we go. We're going to get this guy on the hook, presented by Eagle Claw Fishing. They got most of us hooked on fishing, I would say, whether it was an old crappie hook or now them laser sharps or the trocars. I like that trocar flipping hook. I like a lot of trocar anything, to be honest. But we appreciate them supporting all things travel and circus in the podcast. This man has won $1.5 million with a rod and reel in his lifetime. He is one of 4 anglers to win back-to-back Bassmaster Classics, and he doesn't blend very often, and we'll get into that. Ladies and gentlemen, hammering Hank Cherry. All right, as promised, here he is. He missed this podcast after he won the Gunnersville Classic, and I had his lovely bride on to get the wife's perspective on winning the Classics. One of my favorite podcasts I've ever done. Go back and check it out. It's been many years ago, but he was sick then. Now we've got him out of his sick bed again. It's a Low Budget Live. Hank Cherry, welcome, buddy.
Oh, I'm glad to be up. Been 4 days in the bed. I'm just happy to be up, moving around. If you want to know the truth,
I get it, buddy. And we were joking a little bit before I hit record here. And you got youngins in and out of school and playing ball just like I do. And the sickness has been in the Duncan household. And I joked at the first of the show and said, since Christmas. And I do believe that. It sounds like y'all have had a little bit of that too.
it is. But I told my daughter last night, I was like, you have to understand this, Bella. if the kids get something that just bothers them a little bit and the parents get them, it seems like it knocks them down.
Ain't no doubt.
If the kid comes home and they are 103 and just messed up and you're having to hold them, hug them, keep them warm, cool them off, you don't get anything. Or you might get a sniffle. It like makes no sense. But it's the same way around. If I get something real bad, kids hardly ever even
just bounces off.
Yeah, me and Jacqueline have a stuffy nose or a little cough. Next thing you know, the kid's got the flu, and you're just like, how does this work?
Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, I wanted to start with this. I see this hashtag on your post for years, and I know you've probably explained it, but I want for the low lifers. You always say don't blend.
Yeah,
you've always said that for years, and I remember when the Great Divide happened that caused the sport to, get crazy there for a little bit. You stood your ground. Like you stayed put. You were a bass guy through and through, then go on to win back-to-back classics. But that hashtag, is that what that's about? Is kind of just being you? Because I always feel, I've known you a lot of years, man, and you definitely, I feel like, are a guy that you do stick by what you believe. You are what you are. You know what I mean? Like you're proud to be who you are. Is that what that's about?
I'm that way. But there's that movie Wonder where the kid wears the astronaut helmet.
Yeah. It's great.
And his mom told him in that movie, don't try to blend in when you're meant to stand out. Don't blend.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I kind of took it from that. But it was with all that. I stood hard when all that happened, and I've always been that kind of person. Don't ask me a question you really don't want to know the answer to, because I just
absolutely.
I may say it, I may not have the best tact. Lots of times I have the utmost best meaningful with what it means, but it may not come across that way.
Yeah.
And bass is where I've concreted my stuff. Now, do I always agree with everything and every decision, everything that happens at Bass? No. But without them, I wouldn't have the opportunity to have done and gone and see and do the things and accomplish the things that I've accomplished. So it's kind of like when you're going up that one girl that keeps breaking your heart, but she can always come back to you. That's how it is with bass. I mean, it's a love-hate kind of thing. But I mean, if it comes down to it and the battle starts and they call and say, hey, we need you to stick up for I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
Period. Hands down. Now, I might fight them behind the curtain, tooth and nail over it. Could be anything. It could be the wind's blowing too hard today and I'm not going fishing. Whatever. But when it comes down to it, I'm going to stand up for bass.
I love that, man. And I love the analogy to it's the hot girl. Dude, they got the classic, they got the expo, they're the OG. They're like your high school crush that you finally end up with. That's what all of us started with. Before there was an NPFL, before there was an MLF, there was always bass. It was Bassmaster magazine at all of our houses. We're looking at boats and ads and dreaming about having them when we're kids,
And Sunday morning, the music coming on, and
man,
and Bob and Ray and all of them on TV. I mean, it was just always the things that people ask me, all the confusion, all the frustration, everything that's going on in the sport. Do you regret any of it? I'm like, hell no. I grew up and I got to do exactly what I said I was going to do when I was 5 years old. I mean, they tell you to be careful what you wish for,
Yeah.
but I mean, my wildest dreams couldn't have put me
Yeah.
where I am right now. Like family wise, career wise, just whole life wise. I've seen it all, ups, downs. I've been, and it's no secret. I don't make a secret. I've been to where I had not a pot to piss in, no money, no nothing, barring this, barring that, to, you know, seeing the end of the light, to getting there, to accomplishing things. It's been a roller coaster ride, but it's been one that I've learned a lot. I feel like I've grown a lot. I feel like with some of the accomplishments and the things I've done, my kids and my wife have got to go do things that I don't know that I could have provided for them any other way. I mean, like they've got to meet people. Um, I had like my heroes friend me.
Yeah, man.
It wasn't like that in the beginning, but I mean, like they like, I mean, it was, I remember when I first started out, I knew who they were, but like Kevin had no need to talk to me. Gerald had no need to talk
Right,
to me.
right.
Hackney had no need to talk to me. And I'd fished, FOW and stuff before, so I'd known a lot of the guys like Ayler and Prosnick and whole Strader, who I don't think he's ever met a stranger. He talks to
No,
everybody.
that's fact. Yeah.
But then you go see those guys and then you compete against them, and then flash forward later, they know your kids know them. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
it's a it's a cool thing. It's like one of the cool things about that Gunnersville Classic was I slept in Gerald and Lulu's spare room.
Yeah.
I slept in that bed. So Gerald's like, "You want the champ room? It costs a little more. We're gonna rent this one out." But
Well, I'm sure he's made money off your it's an NIL deal. Name
yeah,
it.
but I mean, it's just things like that the industry. I mean, I've met wonderful people that work in the industry all the way around. I've learned some really good business practice measures. I've learned seen some really bad business practice
Same,
measures.
same, me too.
And I mean, it's all been just a whirlwind wide experience. But to say that I regret any of it would be like back to what I said. You be careful what you wish for. It could always have turned out a lot worse.
No doubt, man. And I love that because I think at the end of this ride, this is something I look at as I get a little older. Lost my dad this past November. You start to, both my parents are gone now, so you start to kind of evaluate life, I guess, in a different tone. And I love everything you just said, because I do think at the end of the day, like when we're all at the finish line of this, money doesn't matter, right? Your trophies, yeah, 2 classic trophies is freaking awesome. The deer heads on the wall behind you, mine that are right here, all that's cool, but it's the experiences, it's the memories that you've made with Jacqueline and the kids. It's what I've done with Marissa and the kids, the things we've seen, the things we got to experience together. Your heroes becoming your peers. Like, dude, that is something, like you said, 5-year-old you, that's what it's all about. That's the life I feel like we should all strive, whether it's fishing, whether it's just your whatever you're into, make sure your life is like that, man. That's awesome.
It is. It's just like I said, and from being around those people, getting experience things outside of the industry, you kind of learn. You take bits and pieces of their knowledge and then and their past and what they've done, and either it works for you or it doesn't. But it all helps kind of pave your road.
No
I
doubt.
mean, like one of the guys who's been a big influence on me, and people laugh at this, but it has been true. I mean, Zona.
Yeah.
Spending time with him, everybody thinks, "Oh, he's just a wild, crazy ass dude."
Dude.
He is, but he's smart.
That is one of my heroes in life. I'm proud. That's one of mine in my life that I'm proud to get to call a friend like you. Like that's a dream for me, because he was a hero for me.
Mhm.
Dude, he has been a mentor to so many. Like there's so many of us that feel that exact same way, right? And yeah, he's funny and he's a little out there at times, but dude, some of the most solid advice I've ever been given in my life has come from that man. I promise
Yeah, it's that way. And then people would always ask me about Kevin. Like I'm like, you guys don't get it. They're like, he can't be that way. I was like, y'all don't get it. Kevin's competitive in everything he does.
you. Yeah.
I don't care. He's competitive in cooking.
That's right.
If it's cooking, he's going to cook the best fish. And if it's not the best fish, it's the best fish in his mind. Because that's Kevin.
That's a fact.
That's how he is. Cornhole,
Yeah.
I mean, the man is the ultimate competitor, and that's
Yeah.
what made him great. And it took from that is like, dude, that dude don't back down from anything. I mean, it's just the way it is. But then you flash forward, and like a lot of the guys that I run around with Bass now, especially like Watley and Mosley, Rivette, and some of those guys,
Yeah, man.
like Watley is an untapped treasure. He is definitely a podcast you could have. You could make your own series just conversating
Just
with
on
that guy.
Brad. I don't know Brad. I don't know Brad at all. I don't know that we've ever even met.
Dude, I am telling you, he will make you think Jared will make you laugh for hours. Brad will talk and talk and talk, and he's definitely not afraid to show or let you know what he's thinking.
Oh yeah, I've seen that online. Like I've been, I've seen that over the years, but I don't know Brad that well, man. I just other than that,
He is he's
badass
a
handlebar mustache most of the
yeah,
time.
he is a good dude, and I've told this to people before, and because people be like, right, well, you know, tell me about the guys you travel with. Who I was like, I'm just gonna tell you right now, hands down, Brock Mosley is the hardest working angler on the water I've ever seen in my entire life. Like he's gone before the sun comes up. He's back when it goes down. And no matter where we are, how good the fishing is, how good he's catching them, he makes sure that he covers literally every piece of water on the system we are fishing. I don't care if that means he has to get up 3 hours early to go put in 2.5 hours away to cover one little creek that he hasn't seen. He is that way, and it's mental. It's crazy. I don't know how he does it. They laugh at me because I'm the old guy of the bunch. Like 6 hours into practice, I'm the kind of guy. If I haven't really got on anything in that 6 hours of that one day, it's probably time for me to get something to eat and watch TV because it's just not clicking that
Like
day.
a hard reset.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get
The
that.
longer I spend trying to make something work, especially in practice, usually the worse I do. So my wife, Christian, Bella, they'll call me, how's practice? If I say it's awesome, it's just the eerie, quiet silence because they hate to hear that. They like that. They won't, in their back of their mind, they want me to say, I just got a bite or two. I'm not really sure what's going on. Because they all say, we go back and look at everything. When I say I'm pretty not sure what's going on, it starts clicking during the tournament. And I really like when I fish to have an idea, but I don't really like to know exactly where I'm going. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't like
multi-day
I
events,
don't
right?
like think I don't like thinking I'm going to the load and then you arrive and they don't bite and then you've got the
That
so
can scam you.
that's why typically unless I just got an 8 or 9 pounder on the bed somewhere, typically I'd never start where I expect to catch them. Which is kind of weird. But I've caught some really big fish over the years doing that. I'll
Yeah.
like save a stretch or save a spot in my head that I think might be good to start without ever in the tournament in practice.
I understand that though. I get that because I've had times where again, that's that spin out. You pull up thinking this is the juice, and maybe you found them at 1 in the afternoon, and you're not thinking about that. So you're like, I'm going to go right to it, so nobody gets on it, and you're sitting there for 2 hours, and you ain't had a bite, and then you roll out, and you're scrambling the rest of the day, and then you're going back to weigh in, and you run by it, and there's some old boy. He's got him on a balance beam, and you go, "Oh my god, man!"
Hey, I can tell you, I want a shirt made of this. I'm gonna get Matt Bass Mooch pretty much. We're gonna get one eventually when I can get him around to it. We're so busy right now, but with forward facing sonar, if it's taught me one thing, this is one thing that your whole audience, every one of them can always listen when they go fishing. From now on, just remember this. They are where they are.
yeah, yeah, they ain't where they ain't.
I
Yeah,
mean, that's it.
that's it.
That's what it
Can't make them be somewhere.
that's what forward facing sonar has shown me. They are where they are.
That's right. That's right. We saw that with the and I said this in the intro with the BPT, the guys that were all scoping down there at Conroe, they were all within sight of each other.
Yeah.
And it's the same way you boys are fixing to kick off in Florida. And you know how it is. If you're by yourself in Florida, you're either in last place or you're blowing it out. You got to be around people, unless you're Tyler a couple years ago and he was blowing it out, found that little sneaky deal and really exploited it, man, and won that tournament. But you know how it is. Like those lakes, those systems down there, if you're like, ooh, found me something by myself, most of the time that's not good.
Yeah, unless it's a system like St. John's,
Yeah,
where
that's
fish
true.
is different than most other Florida places. But if you go to like Okeechobee or Kissimmee, any of those places, if you're not seeing boats, you better be whacking them, or you have plans to go somewhere in the next few days because you're not going to be here very
That's
long.
a fact. That is a fact, man. I'll never forget going to Okeechobee for the first time when I was a kid, like 19, fishing a Bassmaster Open. And I'm like, dude, I found some juice by myself. And my roommate at the time goes, that ain't good. I said, what do you mean it's not good? I'm a Tennessee River guy, man. You got to find stuff off by yourself, try to get away from people. He's like, no, not down here, man. That's not how it works. You better hope some other boats show up. And then once the tournament started, I figured out, I was not in the right area at
Yeah,
all.
no, I've seen it. I've seen that. I've been on both sides of that down there. My very first trip to Okeechobee was at Everstart, very first professional tournament I ever fished. I had a GPS to run that was a handheld that I had to strap around my thigh.
Oh, wow.
So when you come out, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody was going. So I had practice, and I just kind of just came out and said, "You go left or right out of the river." I said, "I'm gonna go left." So I fished everything left. Saw a couple boats of practice, and I caught plenty of fish, but I never saw like a bunch of boats. And I was like, "This is weird." So tournament comes, wind's blowing about 20, dead into the mouth of the river.
Mhm.
We go. I don't know anything about running grass. All I know is I got to run the open water, and my point is this blinking tower that's way over here on this left bank. So I go out. I've got this guy. He's probably 7 years old. I got this Ranger 518. We get over there. It is cold, Florida cold front, and I got to go out past the poles, and I hang a left, and I go, and I get out there, and I'm boom. I look over to my left, and there I see all these boats just running through the grass, running through the grass. I'm the only one out there. So when we get
Sir.
all the way where I'm going, and everything in my dash is in my lap. My co-angler, his rods are tangled up. He can't get nothing done. He's frozen. We're both wet. I'm just happy we got there.
Oh, my
I
God.
get into the little place I'm going to go to. I put my trolling motor down. I got my 30-pound braid on my bait caster with my little split shot and my green pumpkin fluke.
Yeah.
I fire into my little pond. I drag it over a stem. Boom, I catch one. I make like 8 casts, and I catch like, I don't know, 15 pounds. And so I was like, well, I got a spot right beside that I'd planned on fishing, just right outside the river. And I told myself, when you got over 12, 13 pounds, go back over there because I'd seen big fish swimming in there. So I caught that one. I'll never forget it. I called the last one, put him down. I said, all right, let's go. That dude looks up at me. He ain't made a cast yet. His stuff's still all tangled up and wrapped up.
You said we finna do it again.
I said, we're going back. But before we're going to go back, I'll give you a chance to get your stuff untangled because I got to put some stuff back in the dash. I couldn't find all the screws, so I'm gluing the instruments back in there. I finally got them all stuck. And I just say, look, I'm just going to run the grass back. And he looks at me, and I run it all the way back. I mean, we got in behind the wall of reeds. I ran them all the way around. I'm looking at them with nothing showing up on that little handheld, but just a Okeechobee.
Blob. Yeah. Circle.
And I'm like, I go all the way back around. We get over there, and I put it down. He's like, oh, the hell did we do that the first time? I was like, I didn't have a line. Tomorrow I can do it. I have a line. I didn't know you just run through the grass. Just
It's
run
crazy,
through it.
man. There's
So
nowhere like
we finally got over there, and he finally got unfouled and unwet, and we got his stuff untangled, and he caught some fish. But I was so in tune in that tournament to making those first couple casts, I didn't even realize he ain't thrown yet.
that's wild.
But the next day I did it, and I made the same run. I forgot who it was. We had a good day, came back, caught fish. And I called my dad that night. I was like, Dad, I made the final cut. And the phone's like, I'm like, hello? His boss picks up the phone. He's like, yeah, he ran out the door left. I think he's on his way to the airport.
Oh man, that was so. It
But
was your first time like fishing nationally.
yeah, I finished 8th in my first
No
one.
kidding, man. I
Yeah,
didn't know that. That's
all
awesome.
off all off the split shot fluke.
And that less is more down there. You know that's
Yeah.
one thing that I learned many years ago, and it's hard to make yourself like, man, we're around all these giant bass, and I need to be throwing this, that, or the other, and then you see them old Florida guys, and they just smoking a cigarette, dragging an old worm or something, and
See,
just waylaying them.
but just the industry as a whole, at that, I look at that and I tell that story, and it makes me think. Now I can actually just like get in the river before we take off, and I could actually set a course.
Yeah, I
This is where I
know.
want to go. Take me straight to it. I mean, that's how far.
You've got split screens. You got Google Earth imaging
I
that
mean,
you
I can
can
do it. I can
scroll
do it
back.
all. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just.
it's
It's
insane.
just. And I don't know now if I'm just smarter, because I think now if I see that, first thing I think is there's got to be an easier way to get there. But back then I was like, that's the way I'm going. It's just bing,
Yeah,
bing,
but
bing.
dude, you got to think though. You're a North Carolina boy. You fished all them lakes over there leading up to that. You ain't never seen anything like that. I'm sure, like getting turned loose on Okeechobee without any
No,
experience, and nobody. That was me coming from Tennessee, dude. I didn't know anybody down there. I had seen it on Roland Martin's TV show, on Bassmasters, on FLW. That's all I knew about it. I'm like, yeah, there's grass. I don't know that you can run your boat wide open through them reeds. I ain't got a clue, man.
I was told, Eric Weir, I said, I'm not going to Okeechobee. You got any safety advice for me? He goes, all right, this is what I want you to do. He said, just run straight out till you get about 3 poles, shut it down, and just look.
Yes.
And like, I was like, what does that mean? He's like, you'll understand. And when you shut it down and look, if you don't look back to the right or back to the left, it just looks like the ocean.
That's it.
Now, flash forward, it's not as big as it was the first time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's not. The only place that's as big as it was the first time is Champlain when the wind blows, because it
That's
doesn't
right.
matter. When the
Or
wind
St.
blows
Paul.
there,
Yeah.
it's as big as it ever has been.
Yeah, that's a fact.
But I mean,
Up.
but that place was always a destination that I had to go to. You heard about it, you had to go
course,
to,
dude.
had to go to. And I love fishing down there in Florida. But the only part that gets me about Florida is everybody thinks giant monster bass, and they do have some. But that's the only place in my professional career that you go where they give you a little ticket to keep 12 inchers.
Yep. Yeah.
Because without them, you can't catch those Okeechobee 28 pounders at just
That's right.
20-pound
Yeah,
bags.
you need like 3 2-pounders and some 7s.
Yeah.
That's how those bags work.
Yeah.
Always. I had like 13 or 14 pounds on the first day of the FLW tour I ever fished on the pro side. And I was top 20, top 30. I can't remember, but I caught a 7-pounder like second to last flip of the day. Right. Like, and I'm feeling like King Dingling, of course, really. I'm like, yeah, boys. And I had me about 6 pounds before I had it. And I'm up there and I missed Big Bass. Bradley Hallman beat me by 1 ounce for Big Bass. He went on to win that tournament, as a matter of fact. And I thought, oh, dude, I got this on lock. I figured that out late. No, I got me a lucky 7-pound bite is what I got. And it takes some of that down there, man. Like it just does. Like the 25-pound bags, they're never 5-pounders. It's very, very rare that that's the case. Like you will see on Gunnersville or, even Lake Fork, right? Some of that's tons of 4s and 5s and 6s in those places. And Florida's just never been that way.
It's got big ones, but I think it's just, that's why I think when you go down there, everybody gets overwhelmed. Oh, I'm catching a bunch of males. Well, I go to the practice when we go in a couple weeks and I'm catching a bunch of males. Like I know where they're going to be. They're there somewhere.
Right.
You just got to wait on that one to catch. But I don't know.
Yeah.
That place has changed
a lot.
So much over it's different every time.
Yep.
Every time you go, whether the grass, the water level, the water color, the fishing, it's just, in my opinion, that's one place that I think that they should probably step in and really try to just make it what it was instead of trying to make it something it's not supposed to be. Yeah. But I know once you start talking about watershed and water,
all that it really is a complicated, like some of the work Scott Martin and his crew are doing with all that. Like it's a complicated situation down there between the saltwater folks and then the folks that hold Okeechobee near and dear and the water management of all of it. Like, and I'm not a smart enough guy to speak on it, that's for sure. But it's a very complicated.
But that place is a treasure. I mean, that place, that's a special. It's just a special place.
I don't miss, there's a lot of things in tournament bass fishing I don't necessarily miss, but I do miss always having that feeling. It's cold in Tennessee and I'm in my shop and I know tomorrow I get to drive south. Even if it's going to be a cold front, you know,
Yeah.
you're going to Florida, man. And like so many guys right now, I'm seeing them on social media. They go early. They go a little early down there to get a little batting practice. I always did that. I go a couple of days early, fish a couple of them little small lakes before we ever got to where we were going to actually compete. I do miss that. I miss that every year going, we get to kick off things in Florida, man. And with NPFL, you know, they've kind of broken the mold as far as like they don't go to Florida first. We fished Florida a few times, but they always go later in the year. We've gone in the fall and really showcased, you know, Harris Chain and Kissimmee, like what they can kick out around Memorial Day or what they can kick out in October. And that's been fun, but still, man, there's something about those first Florida tournaments, like starting here in Florida is just special.
When you hit it right, and it happens every once in a while, it's pretty phenomenal.
We're all looking for the Dean Rojas day, right? Like every time you roll in, you're like, oh my gosh, it's been cold for 2 weeks. Here comes a warming trend. It's all you're thinking driving. Like, I cannot get down here fast enough. We're fitting to hit this wave on the noggin. So y'all start at St. John's?
We start at St. John's, then go to Okeechobee. So I'll go St. John's, Okeechobee, Santee. So
and you told me before we started recording here, you won't see your family for about a month because you're going back to, that's really I think that's one of the longest stretches. I had Hackney on, I've had Swindle on talk about this NPFL thing, adding in those 6 events, 3 weeks straight. That's a pretty good haul there.
Well, we got it. We'll see, how does it actually go? So I'll miss Jacqueline for a month because we go to Thayer's Marine next weekend, and then she has to fly to Missouri for work. And when she's flying back, I'll already be driving. So it'll be about a month I miss from her and about 3 weeks from the kids. But the good thing is, they can come to Santee because it's not too far from the house.
Not far.
And it's like I said, it's just that ride back. And then I think the 2 Texas tournaments I have to come back to Douglas.
Yeah.
So that's 3 in a row. And then I think everything else is kind of split. The Norman one ended up being in a good spot because it's between the Pasquotank and Hartwell, and I get to sleep in my own bed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's going to be a busier, definitely a busier year, I guess. But for me personally, I think it's going to be kind of like therapy, I guess you'd say.
Man, explain that, because I do feel like everybody I've talked to, whether it's on the show or just through text and call, that have signed up, right, that have not fished NPFL before, they've heard what's going on in NPFL, and now with the no forward facing, you know, and a lot of them, like Hackney was going to fish year 2, and it just never worked out. I mean, he's wanted to fish it really since the jump, but talk about that. Why will it be therapy?
You know, we've talked about this a little bit before. You know, there's always, it's the forward facing sonar issue has been probably the biggest pot stir in my professional career.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could say once what was the Alabama rig, but they nixed that really, really fast, and they kind of shut it down. And it's brought a battle about that. I think too much time and energy has been taking place towards that battle. You said it yourself. I've said it myself. Like I'll get out there and I'll follow them around and I go, but there's a part of me that still loves that unknown, loves that flip, loves making that cast. The anticipation is kind of like, is he there or is he not? Right. The therapy part about for me is I'm just looking forward. And I'll just take a step back. I talk to a lot of folks. I don't like drama. Don't want to be around the drama. Sometimes you just want to put your money in, put your boat in the water, and go.
Let's go fish.
To me, I think the NPFL is going to give me that.
Yeah, man.
Still, I'm not saying anything negative about bass. I'm not saying anything negative about forward facing because I worked for Garmin for a long time.
Yeah.
I believe
Dude,
still, honestly.
You probably sold more units than anybody. You stand on the classic stage, right? I think I've said this on the show. Like you were the guy that classic at Gunnersville between you, Todd Alton, and Stetson Blaylock, in my opinion, brought it to the world.
Yeah.
That was it.
And I told people that, and people will. Well, what do you think about the way it is now? Do you not think that you? I don't think anything that either one of us three that stood up there and did brought anything negative light to the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing we did was we made money for our sponsors. I promoted a product that helped me win the tournament. I've
That's what
never
you're there
never
for.
denied that. Would never deny that.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing I tell people, even to this day, I use forward facing different. Doesn't make it right or wrong, but I use it differently than the Gills or the who else is really good or Connell or um I mean any of the best ones that you want to think about it that
Patrick
are good at.
Walters. Yeah.
Patrick.
Patrick.
He
Yeah.
uses it totally different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um Pollock, the way he uses it, totally different. Different. Milliken, the way he uses it, 100% totally different. Which
Hmm.
a lot of people hate on that dude. I love Milliken. I think he's I think he's pretty cool. We get along. I mean,
Dude,
he's got some pretty interesting stuff to say sometimes.
he's a smart guy.
Yeah, he's another one of
Yeah.
those that's
Ben's no
he's
dummy.
another one he's another one of those that's not scared to say what he's thinking
That's
when he's
right.
thinking and how he wants to say it. And I
That's right.
appreciate that.
Yep.
I don't look at it negatively, but I do use it different than other people. I use it to target a piece of structure. Uh, I use it kind of as my side imaging, kind of trying to see what's down there. And even when I see them down there, most of the time I turned away from them and fish for them. The reason I do that and people laugh is because, dude, I'll pull it away from them. I'm just telling you right now. I'll watch him coming and I will
Little
pull it
jump.
away from him in a heartbeat. No
Yeah.
problem at all. So I don't really frown on, it's not my place to say he uses it wrong or he uses it wrong or he uses it wrong. It's not that. I think it's the day and the age we live in. And now we have three different leagues with three different sets of rules to abide by. That being said, with the opportunity that NPFL gives me, myself, and a couple other guys, is okay. I can go compete 6 more times a year, just traditionally bass fishing the way that my father taught me when I was
Yeah.
3 years old.
Yep.
And then I have 9 other ones where I can embrace technology and go fishing. So it gives me what it gives me mentally is a shift.
Yeah.
So if I go have 2 bad tournaments at bass, it's basically what I do when I come home. I cut everything off. I just go fishing.
Go to Norman. Yeah.
So I mean that's the way I look at it. I don't look at it as, hey, NPFL, that's the light, it's the way. Yeah, I look at it as, hey, it's another opportunity to, one, support my sponsors, two, makes additional income, and three, it's kind of back to the good old days.
Well,
Back to when I was a kid.
and a mental break, like you said, and that's what Gerald and Hackney both said. Hey, man, I got 6 events where I know I don't I don't have to do it. I can go use all the things that I've known and loved so much, and if it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. I might still get beat by a guy shaking them in a blind out there wearing a blindfold. I don't know, but hey, we're going to have 6 opportunities to not have to do that.
And that's coming too, by the way. That's coming.
Oh, buddy, listen. Let me explain to anybody watching this that think the NPFL that you might not see some of those techniques. I saw some stuff on the Alabama Bass Trail last year. What people are learning, but then maybe the wind is blowing and they can't live scope. I saw this on the Tennessee River one time and it blew my mind. 2 gentlemen that I was watching, they were spot locked in the current, throwing jig head minnows and just mashing on them, son. And they weren't looking. They were just had an idea where they were at and they were bringing it and they were catching them every cast. And so if you don't think some guys, because they can still use, you guys can use the 360s, you can use side down. If you don't think, I mean, that bait is still powerful. Now, is it as powerful when you can't drop it right on the nose? We'll see, but you will definitely see people using the quote unquote forward facing techniques this year on the NPFL without it. I think
100%, because I can just tell you, just from my experience using live scope, and I've noticed, especially on jerkbait days, I'll use Norman for example. where I noticed that most of them are in that, say, 6 to 8 foot zone.
Mm-hmm.
And where they're hanging, I'll catch a plethora of them without ever even attempting to go
Yeah.
look, because I know in my head, when I get to that zone, I know how deep that bait goes on that cast, what to get it down there.
Yeah.
And it just goes. That's where it's helped my fishing. It's
Yeah.
helped me assure that, okay, I'm okay. And I've used it to learn to know how far, product testing, how deep a bait will go,
I love that part of it for sure. Yeah.
how it acts. So, I mean, for anyone just to say it's the worst thing that's ever happened, it's not the worst thing that's ever happened. It's not. It was never intended to be that way. It's not that way. Just like I've told you, it's an evolution, whether you like it or not, that's taking place. And are you ever going to have a middle ground? No.
No.
Because if I'm a recreational angler and I like to go crappie fishing or shell cracker, bluegills, you bet your butt it's going to be on the front of that boat.
No doubt, son.
Because I'm going to eat, and that thing will let you know where they are.
And
You
we
can
gonna eat.
see, you can see the whole bluegill bed. Sit up there, take your kid, bucket of crickets, and
Yeah.
go whack on them.
That's right, man. It's amazing. It's yeah. It's not going anywhere. I don't think. Like you said, it's not the worst thing that's ever happened, and it has taught us so much. I think about. I show my boys this all the time, like rod action, like and what you impart on a bait. Like think about a jig head or a crappie jig, right?
Yep.
And for years we're like shaking them, and you do this, and with live scope, when I pull it just a little bit, I'm like, dude, I moved that thing 3 feet. No wonder I wasn't getting bit, right? And in your mind, you think, oh, I'm being so finesse with this shaky head, or I'm doing whatever. And you move those baits so much further for me than I ever realized that we were actually moving a bait. And so
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's helped as much as anything.
I have spent hours on brush pile, not trying to catch a fish, watching my jig come through limb to limb to figure out. And I didn't notice this, that lots of times you're missing a quarter of the tree, because I would get to the top of a limb and you go to pop over, and when you pop over, that jig would fade a little too far, and I
Mhm.
missed 2 limbs that could have gone down in.
Yeah.
So with that kind of stuff and learning to feel, it's taught me, even when I'm not using it, that hey, I'm not getting everything.
Yeah. Slow down a little bit.
Yeah, that you're
Slow down.
not getting it. You're not getting it to crawl, because you don't really realize. Just like you said, you think I got that football jig and I'm just kind of hopping it along, and you in your mind it's going. In reality, it's going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hopping. Yeah. Way more than we ever realized. And I think for a jerk bait, being an expert like you are, it had to be cool to see it on the screen for the first time and go, well, like you said, it confirmed a lot. Well, I was right. This bait, I already thought it went to this on this cast with this pound test and all that. But then that live scope, man, you can see it right there, and it don't go any deeper, don't go any shallower. But I think for me, I'm a terrible jerk bait fisherman. I've never been very confident, especially in the winter, when a lot of folks, you fish it so slow and different things. And I live scopes definitely made me more confident in a jerk bait. I throw it in a lot of situations now, and I steal this from you and guys like Kelly J. And we talked about this a little bit before we hit record too. You were the first guys that I ever remember being just jerk bait guys. Nobody was a jerk bait guy, and y'all were, it's like, oh, it's June, cracking them on a jerk bait. I'm like, dude, my box is on my shelf in my shop. I mean, I would not, that's not something I would ever think about. And y'all opened my eyes, but then so many other people's eyes to how powerful that technique is. And you couple that with live scope, man, it has. I bet a lot of people are more in tune with the jerk bait now than ever, even if they can't see the fish. Right? They just know what their bait's doing because of forward facing.
Yeah, well, I mean it's a perfect picture. Like for product development, it's
Yeah.
priceless, because you can see it. You can see it all. And when I mean you can see it all, like you can see it all. You can watch it act. You can watch it dance. You can tell how much it actually kicks left, right. The cool thing that throwing a jerk bait on forward facing has shown me is, this is going to sound weird, but a bass doesn't eat a jerk bait on every action that you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to pay attention to that. There are some actions like when it's kicked it, like they're coming to get it, they light up and you hit it a certain way. The bait does a certain thing. They shine and sit still.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I've learned that where I can tell, especially with spotted bass, like I know when he's going to get it throughout that cadence and when he's not. And I've kind of learned to kind of try to take that out of my cadence. And I always thought too, everybody was like, with that jerk bait, we got to count it into it and we've got to let it sit for 6 and then just twitch.
Yeah.
Not necessarily anymore.
No.
Do I believe that?
Yeah.
There is a trigger instinct to every bass that is different, but in a day's tournament, there will be enough of them acting the same way that will eat on exactly what you're doing. But I never really knew in my head that there was something I could do to in my action of moving the bait to turn him off.
The trigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or opposite, run him
And
off.
once I saw that, I was like, okay. And I've learned that, and that's one thing that I'm like, So now I take that from forward facing to when I'm not using it, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to make sure myself that I don't do that.
You know what I think the number one thing I've learned with it, while we're kind of on that subject, and I talk to my buddy Justin Atkins about this all the time. What scares me, because I'm a shallow water guy primarily, I love it. It's a wonder we ever catch a bass up shallow because of the way fish react to a splash. And I'm not talking about a very big splash, but I'm talking about when you see there's a lake close to me. I fish a lot, and it's a lot of live scope kind of stuff, what they get on. And I've seen them on a dead slick calm day, and they're down there in like 20. And when you land a Nico, just like bloop, and watch them run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that has messed with my head. But that's one of the biggest things I've learned is, buddy, that emphasis that old Denny Brower was telling us back in the day of get that bait when you're flipping, get it in there real easy, has never been more true than right now. Because if I got him out there in the middle and he's scared of a little wacky worm, I can't imagine if I go ping off one of them Lake Norman docks, how much he's like, I'm just going to slide over here and not get that jig.
I have seen it to where we talk about the splash. I have seen it to where I take my jig and I go under a walkway. There are certain scenarios where they want that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there are certain scenarios where you better just place it in there and land it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't think that makes that big a difference, but forward facing has let me see that.
Yep.
And I tell you, the other thing I've learned with forward facing is I don't care how good you are. Drew Gill on his best day, he can't catch every one of them.
They all ain't biting.
No.
That's right.
You cannot catch every one of them. No chance. I don't care who you are. You cannot catch every one of them.
No doubt about that, dude. That's why the people that think it's easy is like, they ain't nothing easy about that. Those boys could write a daggum thesis statement on it.
What's the skill?
No doubt about it. Well, dude, let's so Bass Mooch. I see this stuff. I keep up with what y'all got going on, but you made a big shift, and we've seen this in the industry. It's shrinking, right? We see that. A lot of companies buying other companies. It happened to me in my day job a couple years ago. Everybody's buying up, whether it's marine, boating, or tackle. We're seeing the industry shrink. You had some signature series baits, rods. You were doing so many things, and then you said, I'm going to go this direction. I'm going to do my own thing with some guys. And now that's turned into Bass Mooch. You've got level rods. You've got some baits out. You've got some more coming. Tell folks about that. Cause dude, I'm obviously a free agent in life. I did that last year. You and I've talked about that some, but I'm always impressed by somebody that takes a walk out on a ledge, because it is easier in our business, in all of life, just put your head down, go to work. I'm just going to keep doing this same old thing. You know, the security is what most people go for. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you took a little chance and went this direction. Tell us about it.
I did. Well, I was approached by a gentleman. His name's Matt Lewis. And he started this business. I wanted to know what I thought about some of his products, what I thought about some of the rods. And so I gave him some honest feedback. And then through conversating and getting to know him and my buddy Norm Lowe, who does all my raps and everything, he's like, "Hey, I want you to come work for me." Um, and by doing that, it gave me the freedom to really have a lot of input into what was made. Um, and he's very open to ideas. We don't always agree on every idea. And at the end of the day, I don't have to. It's his company. I mean, he builds what he wants. But uh, together, we have started building a portfolio of baits that we in our wildest dream didn't know they would be this strong this fast, but they're getting there. Um, and it's been rejuvenating. We've got great fluorocarbon. We've got great hooks. They're Cobra treble hooks. Now we have the Cobra flipping line of hooks, all made by BKK. So we have a plethora of great items. We've got some of the best braid, I think, in the market. We have a bright blue that will, to this point, does not fade, super strong, all the way down to 8 pounds. We've got one of the best unknown, the Johnson suit is probably one of the best, driest suits in the business.
Okay. So
I
they're
wear
y'all are into all kind of stuff then. That's even beyond what I realized, I guess.
no, we've got rain suits, we've got the boots. Um, they're waterproof, warm. We've got winter gloves, we've got beanies, we've got hats, we've got the Midge crankbait, which is kind of gathering a cult following, and
I've seen the midge.
we'll
Yeah.
go talk about it. Everybody says all it is a speed trap. It's not. So back in the day, the Lure Jensen speed trap was the cold water cranking bait.
No doubt.
The original one was the bait. I still have some of the original ones. I always wanted one that was in between the big one and the small one. There was never one made. Never one made. Never one made. Matt asked me, I was like, I want this bait made. This bait will catch fish. Two things to be different about it. Internals changed a little bit. One version silent. You think it'll sell? I was like, 100%. And it just, I got one bait last winter when we first had it. Fish went the whole winter trail. Can't tell you how many terms we won off that one bait. I could go behind guys cranking boat ramps. I could go behind them on riprap banks. It didn't matter. It was different. They had never seen it. We had different colors. There you go. Now, if it was up to me, I wouldn't even shared it because it just.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a phenomenal bait. But we've caught some hell and people. But like in this business, bad publicity is publicity. So
That's right.
what are you gonna?
Drives
It's
it.
not a carbon copy. But in reality, everything in this business is a somewhat of a copy of something trying to make it a little bit better.
Yep. That's what yeah. It's the whole
That's the
tackling.
way they do it, and and this is what people don't understand, especially with that bait is I still carry the original. I still carry Brian Huskins one that I threw at the Classic at Gunnersville. They're
Mhm.
all different. They all run a little different. They all have a different purpose. For me, the midge was, hey, I like to crank in the fall. I don't like slapping leaves off my bait all the time. How can I put the angle of the bill in this thing? What I need to do with it to make it a little less trash getting.
Yeah.
I did that. I mean, so we have that. It's a popular. The bone square bill, I think, is a bait that's starting to catch on. You'll probably see it a lot on the grass lakes because it's a throwback to an older uh, style square bill, kind of like a plastic version of a small Bagley's. The
Yeah.
only difference is instead of it having the traditional one knock in it like most square bills have these days, it sounds more like the cotton cordell traps of old. So it's
Okay.
got that
Loud.
tingling sound to it.
Yeah. A little loud. Yeah.
Um, that, and then we have a full line of plastics coming on. We have a forward facing bait. Well, it could be anything. It's called the could be, which is selling like mad. And I mean, it's an evolution of a company that has we've taken thought ideas, think about them, more thought ideas to paper, to play with, to production. And it's slowly just becoming a big thing. I mean, we couldn't be more happy with the way the company's going. Our jig lineup now is right where we want it to be. I think we've got one of the best skipping jigs. It's a tungsten jig in the market. If you've never flipped or skipped with a tungsten jig, it's a little different because the feel's a little different. Everything's a little
Yeah.
smaller, but then I had the chunk that goes with that. Everybody, we call it hell over that because they're like, it's a zoom chunk with ridges. Well, it's not, because the ridges help hold the bait on there if you like to hang it. So after a fish or 15 skips, you don't have to put another one on.
Yeah.
There's all little things to it. The shovel tail that goes on the chatterbait trailer is something that I wanted for years, and I was told it won't work. You can't sell it. Can't sell it. Can't sell it. Well, we're sold out.
You can prove them wrong now.
I mean, we're sold out. I mean,
That's awesome.
it's pretty obvious you can sell it. And then the rod thing, the rod thing was, how could we build a high price rod for that medium market? That's where we wanted to be. And I couldn't be more happy with the rods, the strength, the power, the durability, sensitivity. Um, and they just been, are they 100% perfect the way I like it? We're gonna do some tweaking as we go on. Sure, you have to, but you have to start with something, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I couldn't be more happy with the entire situation that I'm at, because I feel like I have uh, self expression, that I'm going to be heard. And once again, nothing against where I was, but I'm no longer a little fish in this big pond.
A number. Yeah. A number.
Now I'm like your pet bass in the aquarium, and
And
you
they
feed
feed
me the
you.
goldfish. Yeah,
Yeah.
feed me. And we're going that way. I mean, things are going. We had an incredible year last year. This year's already like this, and it's just going
That's
the
great, man.
it's going the right direction, because we've got a young fellow out in Texas. Knox Hit is his name. We hired him to do some of the sales for us. Matt is very open to ideas, and he's one of those guys, like, this is gonna work. We're gonna make this work. I don't care. It's gonna work. Um, the hardest part and the struggles we're having right now are just getting product. When you don't really know,
Yeah.
and then didn't really have enough,
Yeah.
but what you had looked like enough. You're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's the whole. I mean, no people that have never ran that type of business where you've got to have inventory on parts, and I've done it on the boat part side, and it is always you try to plan, you try to prepare, and look, it's a blessing and a curse. Like, you hope that you underestimate, right? You're like,
Yeah,
okay, we've got something people want here, instead of having a warehouse full of crap forever. Because in my former life, I've been on the other end of that, where you watch a company spend millions of dollars to bring in some, or manufacture some crazy part, and they're still collecting dust in a warehouse. I've seen both sides of that over the years. So it's a good problem to have, but man, it is very tricky. It
yeah,
is
but
a
we've got,
tricky process.
like I said, we've got anything you need for wintertime fishing. We've got, from gloves, hats, toboggans. We got the best fishing socks that they're just super warm. I wear them hunting. I wore them out in Missouri when it was freezing. I mean,
That's
they're
awesome.
awesome. Um, we've got this kill switch that everybody's buying now.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen that. Yeah,
we've got that. We've got this face mask that people have fallen in love with.
I've seen that as well.
Um, it's just a fresh of breath air to just be. We've got new ideas, and we don't really have a bigger entity saying, we're not going to do that. We just
Try
draw
it.
it up, try it, and if we like it,
Sling it out there.
put it to market.
I love it,
Now,
man.
we have some other things that are coming that are um, real nice. I've got one thing coming that's gonna really turn some heads and cause some
Okay.
cause some uh, controversy, probably, but
Okay.
we'll talk more about that at a later date. But it's good. It's just good to be part of something that's growing. Man, it's growing so fast.
That's good,
It's
man.
been fun. It just has. It's and I kind of needed it. I kind of just needed a reset, maybe a change in direction. Um, and it's very eye opening when you make a move like I did to see how it's perceived with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was okay with that. I wasn't really looking for everybody's nod or whatever.
Yeah, approval. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, the approval came from when I sat with Jacqueline, like, hey, this is what I want to do.
All that
And
matters, man.
dealing with Matt, he has never told me anything that he didn't come through with that didn't come to fruition. Now he's very, very busy because he has other businesses, but
Yeah.
it happens. And so, and even now, in the beginning, we had just our store. Um, but the problem with that was is we couldn't keep enough in the store because of the inventory at the warehouse. So he said, you know what I'm going to do? It's just going to be a straight up fishing store. So now he has this fishing store up on the other side of the lake, which is genius because there's no other fishing store there that probably has everything in it you can possibly imagine. He's probably got the best selection of glide baits on the East Coast in this little store. No, because when he does it, he's going to do it right.
It
He's
goes in.
not going to. And
Well,
so, and
it's very important in life. And you know this. It's when people, you got to do what you say you're going to do. And when you're
yeah,
working with folks like that, man, it's got to be a breath of fresh air because, you know, the opposite is not fun. I have experienced that and it's no good. So I'm glad to hear that, man.
it is. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just, it makes me feel like it's 10 years ago instead of 15 years in.
Yeah.
You know, because I told him the other day when we were doing some filming that the one thing I've always wanted that I didn't feel like I could do that I really think we're getting close at, even though our portfolio is not full, is I've always envied Hackney. He's a friend of mine, but I've always envied him because he could show up to a tournament and he doesn't have a want for anything. The people he worked for, I'll tell you
Oh,
straight,
I can't. Yeah.
they have provided every bait for every situation that he could possibly need, and that's all that's in his boat.
Mm-hmm.
So I told Matt my idea before I'm done, before I hang this up. Um, I want to be able to pull up when I go fishing. Is I didn't have to put in a emergency $700 order to a tackle warehouse because I don't
Yeah.
have this.
Overnight. Yeah.
Like if I'm going to Florida, we've got our solo with black and blue with the blue tip, which that's the only place in the world that eats in Florida. I still haven't figured that out, but just
Yeah.
to say that I have that, or somebody says you got anything, you have this bait here. I got them in our solo. Here you go. Like I want that. I
Yeah.
truly 100% want that. Like I've got it in line now. I've got it in hooks. And like I said, our zinc fluorocarbon, not to be plugging sponsors, but like if you're a fluorocarbon guy and you really like, it's something you should try. It's super strong. Uh,
To me, this is less about plugging who you're sponsored by. I just thought that was one of the more, like you said, getting approval, whatever. But it was a talked about move in the industry because here you are coming off 2 classics. You're with the other guys. You know, there's lots of changes happening within that organization all the time, like a lot of publicly traded companies, right? Which is why I don't necessarily like the publicly traded thing. And you made that move, man. You stood your ground. And I talked about on the show last year when I left TH Marine, learning how to swim on my own. That had been 19 years of my life, right?
mhm.
And look, last year was swimming against the current a lot of the time because of failed promises and some craziness in my life. But that being said, dude, I wake up every day grateful that I chose my own lane. I didn't blend like
Yeah.
you have that don't blend in. I love that, man. And so that was more, I just want to know, the story and like, I can feel your like passion about it. And I hope the low lifers can at home listening to this and watching this today. You're pumped about it, man. And it's like a reinvigoration when you get that, like when life kind of gets complacent, sometimes you got to mix it up.
It has been, like I said, and I don't regret any of the time that I spent working with those guys at Pure
Yeah.
Fishing. I don't. I think I learned a lot there. I think they opened doors for me. I just, it was just kind of like you said, it was just it's kind of like if I was hunting this trophy deer and I wasn't getting a shot at him. It's just kind of trying time to just change sets.
That's right.
Maybe
Yeah.
let's move around and look for it because I don't. I struggle with this thought in my head as a lot of guys when they get my age. This dude's like, how long? Like how much longer do I do this? Because this is a very selfish career,
Indeed.
in the extent that I'm having to. I do it for my family, but at the same time, I do it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I struggle with how long. I've always been that guy that like I don't want to be run out, but I don't want to stay my welcome, and I don't want to stay to where I'm taking the next Hank spot. If that makes sense.
Yeah, man.
So I struggle. I struggle with that. So I look at this opportunity too as for me, it's life after fishing
Mm-hmm.
because I know I'm going to do stuff with the Warriors Journey, who I work with when
Yeah.
I'm done, and with Bass Mooch and Level, it gives me another opportunity to stay involved in the sport that I so much love and still be creative and help produce baits and market baits and get to go see vendors and because I'll do that. That's what was a salesman at trade,
Mm-hmm.
turned fishing, still trying to really have to sell stuff.
Yeah, we're selling.
So I mean, either way, but it's that struggle. It's like we talked about the family life. They've given so much to me and allowed me to be gone. Now we're in those different years where Christian baseball is really cranking up. Things are getting serious. He's in high school now. Bella's becoming a young woman. Uh, what is my role with that? I don't know. Haven't been there. I don't know.
That's right.
Uh, Jacqueline, with her expressions, you know, she went. She kind of had to reset too. She actually left her job of I forgot how many years, and she went to go work for Convoy of Hope. That's something that always tugged at her. Doing that kind of work always tugged at her heartstrings, like she wanted to do, and now she's feels like she's on the track she's supposed to be on. Um, so I don't know how long I stay. And people ask, well, at the Classic last year, I got emotional on the stage. I did because that place was special to me. It's kind of where I first made my name at Grand. People knew who I was.
And barely missed it.
Yeah,
Missed
and I
3 of
don't,
those jokers.
and I didn't know if at that time, and I still don't. I don't know that I'll ever get back there again on that stage. Uh, there's no telling what's down that road. And I'm one of those people that honestly know that I appreciate them and thank them because they pulled for me for day one.
Yeah.
I was a nobody knew, but they treated me like I was somebody back when I haven't earned it yet. So that's the struggle that I have, and what's kind of kicked that struggle away into the back of my mind has been being able to develop this stuff with Bass Mooch and Level. It's kind of given me new gas,
It's good, dude. It takes that. You have to do it.
kind of filled the tank up.
Yeah, dude. You have to do it. You have to do it in life. Thank you, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's personal stuff right there. That internal struggle. And you're right. All of our careers to a certain extent. And what I'm doing now, I told you before the show, I'm 20 whatever weekends gone with all the tournaments that I work for and things. And it is like I provide for my family that way, but it's also it is a selfish life. It is. There are dads that are home every single morning and every single night with their kids. And I'm jealous of that. I'm a little bit of a gypsy. I chose a different path in life. I'm grateful that my wife and kids understand it. I miss stuff I don't want to miss sometimes. And I know you're the same way, man. I see you running around trying to make ball games, and we about kill ourselves sometimes getting from point A to point B just to maybe even if it is to catch the second half of a basketball game or whatever it is. So man, I appreciate you sharing that, man, because everybody faces that. I think no matter what you do in life, you do face that struggle of, is it the right thing? Am I doing it for me? Am I doing it for my family? What am I sacrificing to do it? And no career like trying to be a professional bass fisherman. I'm just going to say, other than maybe rodeo or being a musician or whatever, it's a wild, wild ride. And you know what though, Hank Cherry, you've done pretty damn good for yourself, man. And them kids will always, and Miss Jacqueline, they'll always be proud of them 2 classic trophies, even if you don't get another one. But I feel like you'll probably get another one.
Well, will I get another one? Will I get another? I don't know. I told everybody all the time I always dreamed about one, and then
Yeah,
and then there's
that's the
and
dream.
then there's two. Everybody says, "Well, what do you have to win now to be fulfilled? Why are you fishing?" I I fish because I think that's why God put me on this earth. I fish because I think I could be. I'm still a voice for a lot of our veterans that don't have a voice. Um, I fish because we live in a free country where we can go chase our dreams. And I think by me fishing and by what I do, I think it inspires others, including my son, that like, don't let anybody tell you you can't chase your dream, you can't do what you want to do.
Yes.
The only problem I have right now with today's society and with kids and with up and coming fishermen as well, dealing with sponsors, tournaments, and whatnot, is they're all willing to give up what they want right now for what they want most later.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's detrimental to a lot of what's going on now. I think as an angler, as a young professional growing up in this sport, more of them need to learn to use the word no.
Oh yeah.
And down the road, it will be much more beneficial to them than that yes for minimum next to nothing. Hey, we've got you for the next 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you know people that have been in that situation.
And look, when I was younger, and I do get to a point now, and I'm very blessed to have the support on the show that I do from sponsors and different things. But I have to say no. Just even 4 or 5 years ago, I was the guy that, as far as just travel and hey, we want you here, 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 and here, and I found myself giving more of myself to all of this at times and my day job and all that than I was to my family.
Mhm.
I've had that, and you have to, and I'm way better at saying no now. And you know what I have found out is it don't matter. At the end of the day, if you go, hey, I'm just not going to do this one, guys. I'm just not going to do it. It's okay. The world will go on, and go take that trip with your family that you should take, or go make sure you're at that ball game if you have the opportunity. It'll be all right. And I understand the pressure that a lot of the younger anglers are in, and you get that too, man. They feel like if they don't say yes to some of this, that is it.
I've
There'll never
made,
be anything else, man. And it's just,
but I talk to them through experience. I know
yeah, that's right.
I made some of those mistakes, like especially early on with their early deals. Like if you don't like it, no,
Just don't do it.
not everything. You don't have to have everything you think you have to have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the truth. It's just like, look at boats. I've never caught a bass going 79 miles an hour in my bass cap. Never. Never. Never have I ever felt the need to have 5 units on my boat. Never. Never in my wildest dream did I ever think we'd have 5 units on a boat.
No kidding. And television screens and
I still remember as a kid when I wondered how deep it was, I just took my rod and said, think, okay, we're good. Keep going forward. I
and
mean,
then
that's not me. People pick at me because, like, even this year, I went even more old school. I got one in the dash at the steering wheel, and I have 2 up front. Just one that's just by itself. It's a totally different unit, all set for live scope, and I have 2 eco maps that talk to each other. That's my setup. Like I'm still that guy though. You open the rod box and we're fishing tournament. There's 12 rods in there,
yeah.
and I haven't put any on the deck yet. I mean, that's just how.
Yeah, that's how you
That's
roll.
just how I. That's how I am. Um, I just that's where if I could change the way the sport's going and the mentality, it would be with all that stuff. I mean, they understand, like, at the end of the day, the angler still does his job. The angler still catches the fish. I mean, like, I'll say this, and I don't have a lot of, uh, I don't have a really a pot to pee in when it comes to the situation. But like, even with that live, the forward facing minnow pinging stuff, like, I'll have guys that'll, well, he'll bite that Z2 better than bite that regular fluke. I mean, I don't know. You caught him on that one, but if he would have thrown that one, would he not have bit that?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
But I tell people too, when you hear all that, that's what makes the job so easy. Because when it comes to selling, because you tell them, hey, they'll bite it. I've done it. Promise you. And they buy.
Yeah.
That's why the power of video with fishing, just film it. If you
Yep.
film it if you film it, they bite it, they will buy it.
Yep. Yep.
And there's no misconception, because when you see it happen from cast to lipping them.
Yeah. That's when you get my credit card out, because I know I've known how the industry works since I was a kid. I've been to enough writers conferences. I've seen baits getting hung out of 5-pounders mouths and videos getting shot. Well, they love this crankbait, but when
No.
you see this, and YouTube really changed that. Guys
Yep.
like the tactical bassing guys like Ben Milliken with the
Yep.
cast to catch stuff, and I go, all right, I'll be peeking through the blinds like, oh, I'm finna pick me some of them up, because that's
Yeah.
legit. And live coverage did that too, right? Because then you couldn't hide anything anymore.
Yeah, but the problem was, even still with live, you don't get the
You
truth.
can do a little switch. Yeah, you can do a
They
little
do a little bait switch. But that's what I told Matt, like, when we set those videos up with the midge. I was like, dude, I don't, at its own norm, and people might know these places. I don't care. Show cast to catch.
Yeah.
So they know it's not the old catch him on this, hang it in this. Look
Yep.
what I got. No.
That's right.
And there's fishing industry right now is too much smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, but to be fair, it always has been. I will say, smoke and mirrors is the best way to put it, though. That is for sure. But I feel like now it's just somebody trying to catch your attention with a minute video, whether that's an angler trying to convince you that he is the next Hank Cherry, no matter what he fishes or what he's done, or it's somebody trying to stir something up, or it's somebody trying to sell you something. That is definitely swipe, and you see it all every day. There's no.
But that's what goes back to that don't blend thing. I'm like, even if you idolize myself or Hackney or Van Damme or whatever, like, at the end of the day, you still have to be you, find your niche,
Find your deal,
play your card, and hope for the best. I mean, because look, there's like two comedians in our sport. There's Watson and there's Swindle. There's not room for another one.
Amen. Quit doing the fake Swindle accent in your videos, please. All of you out there, y'all know y'all know I'm talking about y'all right now. Quit doing it.
Yeah,
You're
there's two of them.
Stop.
And then there's just the plain straight up 100% redneck Robertson.
Yeah,
like, he's not
1,000% original. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's that way.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I've heard that before about Watson. I've heard before about Swindles. Like, he just puts the act on when he gets on the camera. No,
that's them.
Spent many a days off the water with him. I spent a vacation with him. Like, he wakes up, he's going, he goes to sleep. He's probably talking in his sleep. I don't know. I have to ask Lulu. But I mean, like, that's the thing. There's, like, just don't be scared to do you.
Find your lane, man.
I'm like, you don't like something, don't do it. Don't take it.
Yep.
And like I said, there's just too many people that'll do that, and I hear it all the time. I'll hear it this year. Man, I shouldn't have took that deal. Well, why did you? Because I'm telling you, they'll give up what they want most for what they got right in front of them.
I've seen it, man. And we'll end with this today. Don't give away the farm today for a little bit and think that next year they're going to give you the farm back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because they don't. In this fishing industry, well, I think I worked my way up. How many times have you heard that or thought that in life? Because I have. Oh, well, I'll start with this deal and then you over deliver. You try to, right? You under promise, over deliver to this said sponsor. And they're like, well, why would we bump up what we did? Because he already did everything that to the max of his capacity. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Don't give the guy your full boat wrap. Don't do these things and then think that next year he's going to be like, well, here's 50,000 because you did that last year. That ain't how it goes. There are exceptions to the
Another thing you
rule.
can go on that I learned from for a long time, the way you get treated is nobody is going to support you and celebrate you until you've done something.
That's right.
And that's 100%.
Yeah, you can't talk your way into it. You
No.
can't talk your way into it. Like numbers do matter. Numbers matter. Show me a resume.
At the end of the day, it's what it all comes down
That's
to.
right. You got to be able to perform. You got to be able to be in front of people.
But to be totally honest, that's life
No, that's it. Yeah.
across the board.
Yeah.
But you can't come in with expectations that you haven't done. Because once you've done those expectations, their resume, they're no longer expectations. Hey, this is what I've done.
Yep.
Now, what are you going to do? Yeah.
Yep. Check the box. Hank Cherry, thank you for an enlightening conversation, dude. That was awesome.
I enjoyed it, man.
Out of it, man. Thank you for being here with the Low Lifers. Y'all make sure you're following Hank. I know if you're listening to this and watching this, you are. But check out everything he's got going on. Go check out old Bass Mooch. I know I'm going to. I need me some of the Midge crankbaits, so I'm gonna have to get on that.
It's a good one for sure.
Ain't no doubt, ladies and gentlemen. 2-time back-to-back classic champ, Hank Cherry. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Well, that's all she wrote with Mr. Hank Cherry. I appreciate him joining us, taking time out of his day to hang with the lowlifers. And like I said there, I believe it's the first time he's been on the show. I had his lovely wife on after he won the first classic, and he was like sick one time we went to do an interview. There's been lots of things. But good dude right there. Glad to have him on the show. Excited that he's going to be joining us in the NPFL this year. So looking forward to that. We're about a month away, man. Starting to get them butterflies, new production company, so many things going on. It's going to be a very fun season in 2025. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in, for reaching out, for doing all the things that y'all do as low lifers, as the loyal listeners and viewers of this show, man. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to take you out today a little different. Let's go out of here with my song Halo today. Still an oldie. You'll hear this is the Bassmaster Classic, Fort Worth, Texas. I will see y'all maybe for a low budget lot, trying to get one done. And if I don't, I'll see you next Monday. See ya. Come on.
Can you help me find my halo? I must have left it here last night.